Hey everybody, it's Katie. So today, what are we working on today? We are going to make Kumihimo! Yay! I hope you guys are as excited as I am. If you watched my other video where I made Kumihimo out of cording, well today I'm going to show you guys how to make Kumihimo out of beads. Look how pretty that is. So this is a kit that I have available. This color wave is called Summer Sunshine. I also have a kit called Very Berry, which are these guys here, is what we're going to do today. But what you guys need to do this project is, one, you need a Kumihimo disc. You need some bobbins to wind up your cord with. You're going to need some cording. Now this is s-lon. It's a 0.5 millimeter cording of s-lon. It's a nylon cord. The fun thing about this bead Kumihimo that we're doing today is that you will see the cord. So you can pick it in a fun color that matches your beads. So you can see you can see it between the beads there, that green turquoisey color. So this is easily adaptable to make either a necklace or a bracelet, and I will show you how to end it off as well. But this is what we're working with today. You're gonna need 4 colors of size 8 seed beads, your s-lon, your disc, your bobbins, and a big eye needle, if you have it, comes in really handy for stringing your beads onto your cord. 20 gauge wire. And a couple tools. You're going to need a pair of round nose, a pair of wire cutters, and flat nose come in handy as well. For making a necklace, you're going to need to cut your s-lon. You're going to need 4 pieces of s-lon, and I'm going to have you guys cut them so that they are 8 feet each. So when we set up our disc, you're going to have 4 strands, but we're going to fold all of our strands in half. So we only need 4 that are 8 feet long, okay? Go ahead and cut your s-lon. Okay, so once you have 4 pieces cut that are 8 feet long, you're gonna fold it in half. So I grab the 2 ends and fold it in half, all right? Now what we're gonna do is we need to make a loop that's gonna go around the middle part here. Okay, so once you cut your cording cut, we're gonna cut a piece of wire. We're gonna cut about 3 inches of wire. And what we're gonna do is we are gonna make a loop at the end. You're gonna grab it 1 inch from the end, and what we're gonna do is we are gonna take it and we're gonna push it away from us at an angle, just like that, all right? Then we're gonna move our pliers and our wires so that one jaw of the pliers is in the bend and one is on the top of the bend, all right? And then you're gonna push it up, over, around your pliers and down like so. Then we're going to readjust our pliers again, all right? And we're gonna pull this wire under our pliers like so. Okay, now that we have a loop, I'm just going to make the loop a little bit smaller. All right, we don't want a really big loop because this is going to have to pull up inside of our bead cone, so you want a fairly small loop. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab the loop with my flat nose pliers, and I am going to wrap it around this straight piece of wire. And you wanna wrap it around like twice, okay? Two or 3 times is good. You don't want it too many more times than that, because again, we're gonna pull this up inside of our bead cone, and so we don't want too long of a section. Then you're gonna take your wire cutters and clip off that loop and come in, if you have any little bit of a tail sticking up, kind of squish that down. All right, so now that we have our loop made, what we're gonna do is we're gonna attach our cording to it. So if you have cut your 4 pieces of 8 foot long cording, you are gonna find the ends on one side and you're going to thread it through that loop you made in your wire. You want all 4 cords to go through that loop, like so. Then what you're gonna do is you are going to find the center of your cord. So I'm gonna find the other 2 ends of my cording, like so. Hold them together and pull down till I get that loop in the middle of my cord. So now instead of having 4 cords, I have 8 cords, all right? Now I'm gonna make a knot here simply by wrapping it around 3 fingers, crossing it over, going under the cross, grabbing those threads and pulling them through. All right, so now I have my loose knot and I'm going to tighten it up so that it is right above that knot, okay? And what I do is, you can kind of see it's a mess. I go in and I pull one cord at a time to tighten that knot up, all the strings nice and tight up against that loop there. All right, see, we've got that nice and tight. Oops, keeps trying to focus on the beads. Alrighty. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our disc and we're going to thread this through here. And we're going to hold it so that 32 is at the top. Now we need a cord on either side of 32, a cord on either side of 16, either side of 8, either side of 24. Okay? Alrighty, there you go. So you're gonna have it set up like this. Now what we need to do is we need to add our beads to all of these tails, all right? So if you are making a necklace, and you want it to be 18 inches long, so this one is 18 inches of beads. So I use that, the cording, like I said, the 4 pieces that are 8 feet long, so each string ends up being 4 feet because they're divided in half. I'm going to go ahead and add 10 inches of beads onto each one of these cords. Now, depending on how you set up your pattern, like which cord you put what color on, will depend on the pattern of your beadwork. Now, that's a whole nother ball of wax. So I'm going to show you how to set it up for this one. So this one, as you can see, the cord is kind of twisting, but basically it just alternates the colors. So it's got the turquoise, the metallic turquoise, the yellow, orange, and then it repeats. So that's what we're going to do on this one, okay? We are going to take our big eye needle and we are going to thread it onto the cord, and then we're going to pick one color to start with. So I'm just going to start with this blue, dump some down here, and then the big eye needle makes it really easy just to pick up a bunch of beads like so. If you get bored stringing beads, and believe me, you will get bored of stringing the beads on, you could start with only stringing about half that. So instead of 10 inches, string 5 inches on each cord. And then once you're halfway through, you can go and string more beads and it won't feel so mind-numbingly boring. Or you could do this while watching TV, right? You could set it all up, you could string all your beads on there, and then you're ready to go. Maybe find a podcast or, you know, radio show if they still made those things. All right, well, I'm gonna string these beads onto all my cords, and then I'll show you the pattern that I've done on my disc. All right, I'm gonna finish stringing the beads and I will be back. Okay guys, so once you have strung on your beads onto one of the cords, you need to put a stop bead at the end so they don't all fall off. So all you do to do a stop bead is you'll take one of your beads and string it onto the needle, pull it on like this, right? So this is the part where our needle is attached. This is the part that connects to our disc. And we're gonna come from the disc side and we're gonna go back through that bead like so. So we're making like a loop. And we're going to pull our needle through, okay? And pull it down to the bead like this. So that way, your beads won't be able to fall off. Once you have all your beads strung on a cord too, we're going to wind it up in a bobbin. So pop the bobbin open, put the tail in here, and just wind it up. And you're going to wind all the cord until your beads get fairly close to the top of your disc. You want a little bit of section of string without beads, but about like that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to actually wind a few of the beads in here, like so. And then you're going to close the bobbin. All right. And what you can do is you can actually wind the bobbin up like this while it's closed to bring it up close to your disc. And as you need more space as you work, you can kind of unwind it, if you can see, like that. All right. So that's what you're going to do for all of your warps. Like I said, I'll show you the pattern that I've done in just a second. Hey everybody. So here's our Kumihimo octopus. So I went ahead and strung the beads onto all of our cords, and you can see the color pattern here. So I did colors on opposite sides of the same disc, like diagonal from each other. So there's turquoise and the turquoise, silver and silver. So the silver over here is across from the turquoise here, and the silver on the side is across from turquoise. And then I did the same up here where it's pink is across from the blue, and then the blue is across from the pink. So pink, pink, blue, blue, silver, silver, turquoise, turquoise. All right, so that's going to give us a pattern similar to this one where the colors are stacked on top of each other. Like you can see orange, yellow, turquoise, metallic, turquoise, clear, orange, yellow, turquoise, metallic, turquoise, clear. So that's going to give you the pattern that we did here. All right, so to start the Kumihimo, we need to do a couple rows without any beads. We want to start by making sure our 32 is at the top here. And what we're going to do is we are going to take our strand and we're going to go across and go up here like this. So one from the bottom up to the top. And now we're going to take one from the top down to the bottom. Now as we do Kumihimo, our cords are slowly going to snake their way around the disc. So once we do the first one, we are going to turn our disc counterclockwise, and we are going to do the same thing. We take one from the bottom up to the top, then we take one from the top down to the bottom. And like I said, we're not adding any beads at this point. We're just trying to get our weave started. Turn it counterclockwise, and again, up from the bottom, down from the top, counterclockwise, up from the bottom, down from the top, counterclockwise, up from the bottom, down from the top. All right. Now, once we've done that, you can see now our cords are where these two on these two sides are pinched and these ones are spread apart. That's what we're looking for. All right. So what I'm going to have you guys do now is, and again, turn it counterclockwise. So we want those ones that are pinched to be the ones that's on top and the bottom. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add a bead. So we're going to take this one up from the bottom. I'm going to pull it over here and I'm going to release a bead. All right, and then I'm going to lock it in place. Now this bead here, we want it to be in between these two threads. It's going to sit in between those two threads. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing where I take it from the top, I pull it over here, and then I release one bead, and it slides down, and I lock it in place. Now again, we want that bead to be in between those threads. Now at this point it doesn't really want to sit there, so don't worry about that too much. The next step when we lock these into place is when you're going to worry about it. Okay, so we're going to turn our disc counterclockwise, and now this is where I'm saying we need to make sure that that bead is locked into place. I'm going to pull this up here so you can see it. I'm going to take this cord from the bottom. I'm going to make sure that that bead stays between these two cords. I'm going to pull my cord this way and see how it locked that bead into place. It grabbed that bead. And then I'm going to release one bead and lock it into place. Now this silver one is going to sit between these two threads, okay? So that's what you're going to do. When you're doing it, you're going to take one from the top. You're not going to release your bead until you've locked this bead into place. So once you've gotten a little ways, it's easier to keep them where they're supposed to go. but make sure that he is locked into place. Don't let him, you know, come up here and then you've missed him completely. You know, make sure he stays down here. Lock that in place, pull this over. Once you've got it pulled over, then you can release one bead. Lock it into place. Now we're going to turn it again, counterclockwise. Again, that little bead, you need to make sure that he's going to sit in between those two threads, okay? Pull your bottom cord up, lock him into place, release the bead, and put it down. Same thing again. Take it up. If you have to, push that bead back, pull it over, release one bead, and go in here, all right? So that is all we're gonna do. We're gonna keep doing that around the whole disc, all right? And once you have, like I said, once you have several rows down, everything will want to stay better in place, all right? What I'm also doing is, as I'm doing this, I'm slightly pulling down on the wire tail with my hand to help pull it down the disc, okay? You can see how I'm holding it like that. I'm kind of pulling that down. So we're gonna pick it up, lock that turquoise bead in place. See, lock it in place, release a bead, and go in here. Take it from the top, lock it in place, release the bead, and lock it in the bottom. Turn it, the same thing. So that's all we're gonna do, is we're gonna keep doing this until we get our cord the length that we want it. Now what you need to be careful with is, if you're going to set this down and walk away, remember to take one cord up, release the bead, lock it in, you know, drop it in place, and set it down with 3 warps. That way, when you set it down and you come back later, you will know the 3 warps go at the top. And now all I have to do is take the top one and pull it down to the bottom. All right. So I am just gonna keep on doing that. Like I said, always make sure that that bead stays in there. And then once I have the length that I want, I will come back and I will show you guys a cord into an actual necklace. All right, well, I've got a lot of weaving to do, so I'm gonna let you guys go and I will be back soon. Bye. All right, so if you've gotten to the point where you are done weaving and you still have some beads left, we're gonna go ahead and remove those beads. Now this is the stop bead here that we added, you know, to start with, to keep the beads from falling off. Usually you can pinch it and just pull and it will end up coming straight off. And then you can remove the rest of the beads on that strand. Now if you have some difficulties doing that, like if your bead doesn't want to just pull down, you'll have to undo the thread loop. See how there's that little thread that loops that go around? If you grab that and pull it, oops, then you can pull it out of the bead and then your bead will just pop off. So we're gonna do that to all of our warps and make sure that we take off all the beads, and then I'll show you how to tie everything off. Okay, so now what we want to do before we finish off our wire weave is cut a piece of wire. This is 20 gauge wire, and I've just cut this, I think about 3 inches. Yep, about 3 inches long. We are going to make a loop in it like we did when we started the video. So grab the wire, bend it, move your pliers up, over, around, move your pliers around like this, and in that point you can grab it with the flat nose and you can wire wrap it like so. You only need, again, like 2 or 3 wraps. You don't want too many and you don't want too big of a loop, because this has to fit up inside the bead cone when we're finished. Cut off any excess wire, all right, and flatten down any little bit of tail that we have there. Okay, So now that we have this, we're ready to take our beadwork, and what we're going to do is we're going to thread all the tails through this loop and make a knot. I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, are you guys ready to finish off your Kumihimo braid? Look at this. Look how gorgeous that came out. This is the very berry color wave. So when you're at this stage where you've got this to be the length that you want it to be, remember that your cones and your clasp are going to add about 3 inches to the finished length of your braid. So keep that in mind. This is all the beads that I have left. Look at that. We almost used them all. So what we need to do to finish off our braid is we need to do a few rows like we did at the beginning where there are no beads. All right? So let's do this. All right, so I've got my 3 at the top, and I'm going to make sure I lock this last turquoise one in place here. So go 1, turn it counterclockwise. We'll do 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can see how it's starting to close up here. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for it to get all the way nice and tight and closed. All right, so you can see that it's starting to get pinched together nice and tight there. And that's what we're looking for. You want to close off the weave and get it so nice and tight so that we can add a knot above the beadwork. All right, so I think that's pretty good. What I'm gonna do this last one here, is now I wanna pull all the strings and make a knot. So what I'm gonna do is I am going to grab it at the bottom up here as close as I can get with my fingers, and I'm gonna pull it down. All right, I'm kind of pinching that beadwork right there so nothing can escape. And once I have it pulled down a little bit, I can undo all my warps from my disc. Okay, so once I have it detached from my disc, okay, so now we need to attach our piece of wire to our beadwork. So I have this pinched here so that it can't go anywhere. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tails and I'm going to thread them through my wire. So it helps if you kind of make all the tails the same length or very similar to be able to push it through that beading wire. All right. There's 2. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this down towards my little wrap that I did here. Okay, so now I'm going to make a loop by wrapping the thread around 3 of my fingers, crossing it over, and then pulling all those tails through my cording. Okay. And now I want to bring everything nice and tight against my cording here, so I'll scooch that down like that. And then I'm slowly tightening the knot so that it ends up nice and tight above my beadwork. And then I'll go back in and I'll pull like 1 thread at a time to to get it nice and tight. Alrighty. So that's what it should look like at this stage. Now what you're going to want to do is, this is all going to go up inside this bead cone. But before we cut off these tails, we want to glue our knots so that it seals everything together. This end where we started, we don't need to glue it because there's no tails that we're cutting off. But this side has the tails that we need to cut off. So we're going to glue the knot before we cut them. All right. And take our super glue. And what you want to do with the super glue is you want to make sure that you glue the entire knot. This bottle's really hard to squeeze. All right, so you want to make sure you get the whole knot, all sides, underneath, on top, and then a little ways up this cording that's coming off here. And then we will add the end cones. While this end dries, we can do this end. We can finish this end off. So what you're going to do is you're going to take one of your bead cones and you're going to thread the wire through the bead cone. You're going to push it so it's nice and snug against your beadwork, okay? Then you need a pair of round nose pliers and you're going to grab the wire that's coming out of the bead cone right at the top of the bead cone. And again, like I said, make sure that it's pushed up against your beadwork. All right, so we're going to take it, we're going to bend it out at an angle like so. You're going to adjust your pliers so it's like this. So that's creating the space for your wire wraps to go. Now we're going to make the actual loop. Let me switch hands so you can see better. We're going to pull this up over the loop down towards our bead cone. We are going to readjust our pliers so that one is in that loop and one is sitting on top of the loop, and we're going to finish making our loop by pulling this wire past us like so. So now you can see you have a loop. At this stage, we're going to hook in 1/2 of our clasp. Okay, like that. Now we're going to take our chain nose pliers and I'm going to grab a hold of that loop to hold it steady. And I'm going to fill that space that we created in the first step with wire. Okay. So you're going to wrap it however many times it takes to fill in that gap. You would like to try to have at least 2 or 3 wraps. If you have a few more, then that's okay. All right, once you have it wrapped, maybe one more wrap, just to get it really nice and snug there. All right, you're going to take your wire cutters, you're going to take that flat side of the wire cutters, not the pinch side, but the flat side. You're going to place it against your coil here. Make sure that you're not clipping your loop or anything like that. Clip it off as close as you can get it. And then take a pair of your chain nose pliers again and just flatten down any sort of little bit of wire tail that is still sticking up. So there you go. That's how we're going to add the bead cones. Now on the other side, it's going to be the exact same thing. Okay, so now our glue has dried. We are going to clip off all of this tails that we have here. I'm going to measure real quick and see how much tail we have left. So we have the shortest we have, it's at 1 foot, and the longest ones have another 3 inches. So you have about 1 foot of cord left after making approximately 18 inches of beadwork, which I like to have extra. I don't like to use every little last bit. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and cut off our cord here. And the reason that we glued a little bit up this section here is so that when we cut here, we're not going to fray because we're going to cut and it's still going to be glued. All right. So there we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pull this all up inside of our bead cone. So we're going to thread that on there. Make sure you tuck that knot inside there. And you might need to have a pair of pliers to help you kind of tug that down because you want this nice and tight against your beadwork, right? Once you have your bead cone on there, we're going to do the same thing we did on the other side where we grab it with a pair of round nose, bend it, adjust up over our loop down toward the cone, adjust our pliers, push it past, and then we're going to loop in our other half of our clasp like so. And then we are going to go ahead and wire wrap. So I'm grabbing that loop with my chain nose pliers and I'm wrapping around. Now if you have a hard time wrapping with this tail, you can always grab the tail end of your wire with another pair of flat nose or chain nose pliers and help you wrap it around nice and snug. And again, you want like 2 or 3 wraps. You can definitely do more. I'm doing as many as it takes to really snug that up next to my beadwork. So I'm probably going to have about 4 or 5 wraps, which is perfectly okay. With necklaces, it adds a little bit of length. With a bracelet, it might be more of a problem because it would be adding length to your finished piece, but the necklace isn't going to be an issue. Now again, we're going to clip that away. I'm always pointing that wire away from our face. Clip it off. Little bit of a tail sticking up right here. You're going to take your pair of pliers and just kind of squish it down next to the piece. All right, look at that. Now you have your finished necklace. Look how pretty, pretty, pretty. And it will close like so. Well, there you guys go. Thank you guys so much for watching my Kumihimo with beads video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope your projects come out fabulous. And I will see you guys later. Bye.